Hello and welcome to another G.I. Joe New News Review. I am David Allen and I am here to talk with you about my new series. A few people have talked to me about doing reviews of the classified series because everybody else was doing reviews of the classified series. I did not want to do what other people were doing. So I didn't do that. But I had to get my head around the classified idea of doing reviews. We have probably 200 figures, vehicles, playsets, accessories, and so on and so forth that have been released or are going to be released over the next 8 months for the rest of this year. So I have a bit of catching up to do on that. Uh, and so I'm going to start first off with doing a G.I. Joe classified review of Snake Eyes 00. And like I said, I had to get my head around doing this because I didn't want to do what other people had did. I didn't want to just do toy reviews just for the sake of doing toy reviews of classified figures because everybody was doing that. I wanted to do something different. I wanted my content to be different. I'm on YouTube. I wanted it to be engaging to the viewer and to try to grow this channel with a different kind of video or kind of content that I was putting out there. So you might wonder why I have my cool G.I. Joe graffitis Snake Eyes jacket, because the 00 Snake Eyes is basically Snake Eyes version 2. And so it has this really cool ornate case, and it has a slip case that goes over it. That's basically the same artwork that is on this, and this is embossed for this version of the 00 Snake Eyes. And then there's some really cool Arashikage, like red kind of language or writing on the side here, and this goes all the ways around this package. Look at how beautiful that is and stands out. It's like embossed. It stands out. And this is the very first classified mail order figure that was exclusive, that was ever orderable through Hasbro Pulse, I believe. The very first Hasbro Pulse figure. But before we get into 00, I want to go into a bit of the history of Snake Eyes version 2. And this is where I am getting around this particular classified figure idea. Instead of just doing a review of a figure from Hasbro that's classified, I am going to do a little bit of a history lesson on that particular figure. And thankfully, we have a lot of people in this community, creators that have done things that are going to help me with this presentation. And I really appreciate the work that they've done. The first person that I want to thank for using his series is Creating G.I. Joe Real American Hero. This is volume 13, and it is Snake Eyes version 2, the history of Snake Eyes version 2. Thank you, Dan Klingensmith, for creating these books and enabling me to use the history of this version of Snake Eyes. So let me read a little bit of what Dan Klingensmith says about this version of Snake Eyes version 2. It says, alternate names, NA, year release 1985, designed by Ron Rudat. It says, most likely the most popular and recognizable character for the G.I. Joe brand is this version of Snake Eyes, giving him an arsenal of weaponry such as grenades, a sword, and a small rocket on his arm, on his firearm. Ron wanted to incorporate more of Snake Eyes' ninja heritage into this version of the character. Ron gave Snake Eyes a sleek uniform to show off his muscular build, and as shared previously, he wanted Snake Eyes in black attire to create a little controversy when it comes to the symbolism of light and dark in fantasy genres. One of the identifiable features of this version of Snake Eyes is his visor. Ron shared that he put in a head-up display inside the visor and gave Snake Eyes advanced earpieces on either side to help detect and enhance the clarity and volume of noises around him. So there's a bit of a design on that figure. I don't know how well you can see that, but it gives a little bit of a turnaround of Snake Eyes and different parts and stuff like that. And you might notice in the corner right there, there's a Snake Eyes in package. Now, Snake Eyes version 2 package design was done by Ron. The figure was done by Ron Rudat, but the package design was done by Hector Garrido. Now, this is a print that was included in our omnibuses by Carson Metaxas of 3D Joe's. And so I wanted to show you this version of Snake Eyes as he would have appeared on his figure, because I do not have an original Snake Eyes on a card to show you. This is the closest thing that I could come up with to show you how beautiful Hector Garrido did with this card art. And that's Snake Eyes version 2. You can see he has the grenades there, has the visor, has the sword, just like they talk about. He also has a timber. So this version that I'm going to show, the 00 version, does not come with timber. We will show that in another video down the road. So because I've showed and talked about the figure, this is the vintage second version, version 2, Snake Eyes, with his timber, in fact. Now, I am not a mint complete person. You will learn that. But there he is. There's Snake Eyes vintage version 2. So he's a little bit wobbly, because I'm not a mint complete person, collector, I should say, mint complete collector. I do not have a complete version of all these figures. I just get the best versions that I can find when I can find them. There's your timber, which I'm not going to talk about that much. There's his backpack and his ooh. So there you go. There's his backpack. Backpack. His sword. And it kind of looks like that sword that was released around the time of the Snake Eyes Origins movie. It kind of looks like that sword, that real life sword that they did. And there's his Uzi. So now, for those that might be watching this video, I would like you to comment and let me know anything that you feel I need to do better for these videos, because this is my very first one for this series. It is the double Snake Eyes 0 review. So I would like you guys to let me know if I'm doing something wrong or I need to improve, or even ask questions about this version of Snake Eyes for this video. Either version, the original vintage version or the 00 version. And I want you to do that for every single one of these videos, for every version of the classified figures that I show. I will show their version 1 figures, vintage versions, and their history, and I'm going to try to show their comic book versions as well. And so there you go. There's Snake Eyes version 2 on the 25th anniversary issue of G.I. Joe Real American Hero 53. And that's what I am wearing, this jacket. There you go. So that covers his origins, that covers his first vintage figure, his first vintage packaging, and now we are going to move on to the 00 Snake Eyes, and I will show you some of the cool stuff that was included in this. I pulled this out because I wanted all these weapons to stay on this little rack that came with it. So this is the first time when I do these videos that I am opening these figures up. So this is the very first time that this has been opened, and this is the very first time that I am showcasing these accessories. So he has those two cool axe ninja things. He's got his regular sword. He's got a bow. He's got those these other little things here. A lot of this stuff I will take off and I will show you. There's another bow staff. There's the 3-prong knife. I don't know all the technical names for a lot of this stuff. So if you know that, you can talk to me in the video and I will say what they are. But I wanted to show this the way it was intended, and so that's why I did that. But then I also want to show this beautiful embossed symbol, this Arashikage story embossed on the back of this weapons rack, and it comes with these cool timber little ornate dogs on the sides there. And so those are all the weapons that are on there. So I wanted to showcase that. I'm going to show you each of the weapons one by one. So these videos are going to be a little bit longer than my normal video because it's going to take me a little bit longer to talk about this stuff. This is the very first one. All of us are fans of Snake Eyes. And one of the things about Snake Eyes, the reason why he was colored black was that they needed to save on deco hits on the first 13 figures. And so it was brought up that why don't we just make one figure all black to save on deco? And that's what they did. And they never in a million years thought that the original Snake Eyes would have been so popular because he was a ninja, he was a commando. They thought, oh, people probably not going to like this. But that turned out to be the most favorite character of most kids in 1982, fans of G.I. Joe: Real American Hero, when it debuted in 1982. All right, so let's see. I'm going to show off some of these cool weapons. Look at that cool staff. And there's stuff on these things too. I don't know if you can see this. Like there's different designs on there and everything like that. But yeah. So there you go. There's that. Let's see. Then, like I said, I do not know the names of these things. I do not know the names of all these little weapons. There's two of these, whatever these things are called. This is that cool sword staff thing. And like I said, it has ornate art and stuff like that in the hilt of this. Can't really see that too much. Hopefully down the road, I'm going to work on my lighting. And this was just the first video for this. And I was excited and I really wanted to show this off because I was excited and get this rolling, the ball rolling on this new series. My classified G.I. Joe New News classified reviews. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I look forward to having everybody. I know some of this might be old news, but like I said, I never did it. I never did reviews of classified. This is the first time. And so I'll make a little bit of a history lesson for you guys. There's his cool ninja sword. It's not quite the same as the sword that came with him, the vintage version, because that had like a little thing on the end here. But it's still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. Yeah. And so another reason why I can do these videos and do them now and take my time is I am not beholden to trying to get these out at any time before other people. And I don't need to worry about the newest figure or whatever, because all this stuff has been out for 5 years. Oops. Oh, I'll just put that there. They're a little tricky to put on there. So yeah, Classified's been going for 5 strong years, and some of these early figures are very rare, and some of them are very hard to get, and there are variants and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of really good new stuff coming out, so I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing here. And so, like I said before, there's a cool ornate cover to this, and this red embossed lettering on the side there. So I really like it. This was striking from the moment I saw it 5 years ago. And then they didn't want you to not see the artwork in a better light. They put this cool print in here, and it has the Arashikage lettering, and it's like a wolf and like a demon, like almost. It's kind of like those masks, those demon masks you see ninjas wear sometimes. And it has this Arashikage symbol, the I Ching that Larry Hama created, and it's the right way. A lot of times I see people that have tattoos of this and they have it upside down. And Larry, he has seen people with it upside down, and it makes him laugh. Because it means something. When you see this, and there's a series of names that each of these lines means. Larry has explained it. I know what it is. I'm not going to say what it is here because I don't want to spoil it. But he did explain it in one of the comics years and years ago. All right, so I took out the embossed weapons rack already, and all the weapons already to prepare for this video, because I wanted it on the rack when I showed it to you. So then it comes in this cool styrofoam box inside, and then it has a regular package with the 00. So if you really wanted to take this out, put it on the shelf with all your other figures, if you have that that obsessive compulsive where you need to have all the numbers, well, you can do that with this figure. And this is a beautiful package. Look at that silver like lay over on the back of the package. And then there's some artwork that kind of carries around to the front. And I missed some of this artwork. I really liked it. I thought the homages to like Hector Garrido, how he got to do all the packaging, and I showed you that version 2, Snake Eyes. That was something that we all loved, is that packaging. And there's that lettering again, and then 00. And then the Arashikage symbol with 00, and then a blank on the bottom. And then the cool silver, all silver logo. That inspired so many of us to collect G.I. Joe: Real American Hero back in the day. Those beautiful packages by Hector Garrido. And so I thought it was really cool that they did those packages, and that everyone was a different person's artwork on the package, because all of us were fans of that packaging, and that's why we love G.I. Joe. And so I thought, wow, that pays it forward to all these artists that became artists because of Hector Garrido's inspiration. And I might be speaking a little bit out of turn there, but I'm pretty sure everybody that I've talked to in later years that was an artist, they loved Hector Garrido's artwork, and that's what grabbed them and gravitated them toward G.I. Joe. So it makes sense that each of those packages has a beautiful piece of artwork on it. Now, see, they redid the logo, that embossed piece of artwork inside of the interior of the box as well. So I'm going to put the box over there. And so you have, now this is the very first time I'm taking this out of the package, folks. You have a really, really cool, and people that know me know I do not open my figures. Very, very seldom will I open something out, open something up. And this is going to be a series of firsts for me, 200 firsts, because every one of these is going to be opened up for the very first time. So there you go. So then, so I'm going to take the figure out. I'm going to take a peek at him. And a bunch of friends of mine that do reviews and stuff like that, I'm going to try to follow what they do and stuff like that. They've done videos before, and I've watched reviews and stuff like that. So as you can see, the first figure, everything was sculpted on him. It was all there, right? But with this version, there are secondaries, like his grenade belt there. And then he's got this harness that's kind of around his chest. You can kind of see it. It's movable. It's removable if you wanted to pull that off there, right? And then he's got this belt right there. All of the highlights are done in silver and like gray. So you can see the silver and the gray tones on him. His mask, I don't think does anything. The mask is sculpted on there. Yeah. So his mask is sculpted on there. His head does move like that. He's got armbands on his arms. They move, and they are, I guess, glued on or whatever, but they do have a secondary type feel to them. So like I said, people in the chat, if I'm speaking out of turn, let me know. This is the very first figure I'm reviewing. So we have a harness, holster for his right leg, and a holster for his left leg. And that's to hold two different weapons that he has. His knees have these articulation here, and they have knee guards, and he's got the ball rocker on his feet, the ball rocker there, and he has that hip articulation there. He's got waist articulation. He also has what Mark Webber calls the terrible ab crunch articulation. He's got wrist articulation. He's got elbow articulation and shoulder articulation. So he's very articulate. Let's just say that. So, all right. So we're going to put him down for a minute. Give you a cool view of this Snake Eyes. So that's the first time he's ever been out of package. Oh, here's something I definitely want to showcase. Right there is the Arashikage symbol on that belt. So he's got lots of accessories in here. All right, so he's got a backpack. Now, in order to get the backpack to stay in there, you're going to have to go through both holes. There's two holes in the back of his back, and you have to put it through both of those for that to stay in there. So there you go. Let's see if I can get it to go on. There's a bit of a love-hate relationship between backpacks and G.I. Joe. Some people can get them to go on, some people can't. So that it stayed on. There you go. Put him right there. See if he'll stand up. Fix those ball rocker feet there, and he's standing. All right. So then now, here we go again. And now we have his, see, now that sword, let me see if I can get this right. Now that sword has the traditional thing on the end, like the vintage one had. and that's what the toy, the life-size toy is, has that as well. So I'm going to put that sword in his hand. Now, one of the big things about these figures is trying to get all the stuff in his on the figure. I don't know if I'm going to be that good at this sort of stuff since I've never done this before. This is my first time. Again, there you go. There's Snake Eyes' sword in his hand. All right. Snake Eyes 00. And he's standing still. All right. So then what do we have? We have a sheath. Now, I believe there's a hole in the back of one of the belts that has a sheath there. I've got another hand, but it does like the ninja type stuff when you see the different ninja maneuvers where you say like go this way, silent or whatever. It's one of those cool symbol type ninja hands. There you go. So that's an alternate hand. He's got his sheath for his sword and has the Rashikage symbol on it. You can see that right there. There. And then there's another I Ching on the other side. So there's I Ching and there's some ornate artwork. I gotta try and get this. There's some ornate like artwork and stuff on the sheath itself. You can't get it good enough. I need my lighting better for you guys to see that ornate material that's on there, but it's very cool on both sides. So then in order to put this sheath on, I'm guessing it goes someplace on, I'm not sure where that sheath goes. Let's see. I'm guessing you could put it on his back and take off his backpack. So I'm going to take his backpack off and I'm going to put his sheath on. And like I said, you have to go through both of these holes in order to get this to stay in. Yeah, you can put the sheath on his back because there's not another spot for that. So I took the backpack off for the time being and I put it there. I put the sheath on his back. So you can see the sheath on there. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Then he has this cool little knife. Nope, you can't see that. There, little knife. So I'm guessing that's going to go in. I'm not sure where that goes. There's a little bit. There's two holsters, but I think those are for his. No, maybe one's a blaster and one's a knife. Yeah, this one's a knife holster. So I'm going to put the knife in there. You can get it in there. Oh, there it goes. All right, so I got that in there. So I got his knife in that holster. Yeah, I don't think you can see that. Yeah, there it goes. You can see it kind of like that, right? Yeah. And then there's another hand that was included with this, and it has a throwing star. See that throwing star hand? So he has a directional hand, a throwing star hand, and two gripping hands. So then we have his Uzi. There. I'm going to put that in his other gripping hand. From his vintage figure, he had that Uzi. So we want to make sure we show that off. With his sword, those are the two most iconic weapons that he had back in the day. As you could see by the figure I showed already, he had the Uzi and he had the sword. And so there you go. That's his Uzi. on him like that. So I'm going to try and put it in a better pose so it looks cooler. Maybe I should put that on the inside like that. Yeah. There. All right. That looks much better. Look at that. Okay. So he's got his sword. He's got his Uzi. He's got his knife. He's got his sheath all on him so far. I'm doing pretty good getting all this stuff on him. I didn't expect all this stuff was going to go on him. Obviously, his hands and his backpack aren't going to go on him because I already used the pegs in the back. So then you have a pistol, right? And it has a suppressor, and a pistol. So the suppressor is probably for the Uzi, most likely, because there's a slot on the Uzi for the suppressor. But also, there's a place on here on his other holster to hold the suppressor and to hold the pistol. So I'm going to put those two in there. So there, now you can see he's got the pistol and he's got the suppressor on there, both. Right? So then you have Snake Eyes 00, and he is loaded for bear. He looks awesome. Based on the paint apps and stuff like that, there's like some copper on the legs, a little bit of copper there. There's a lot of silver highlights. Obviously, they have the red Arashikage. There's the different colors of gray, dark gray, like they did on the vintage figure. Maybe that's would be a cool thing to show, is show the vintage next to the classified, because that's a big thing at the moment. Is we are trying to vocalize our love of the vintage without moving this brand forward. In the early days, the brand was a lot cooler, more advanced. In my opinion, like I said, this is my opinions and my views. So you can see that the vintage has some of those cool gray highlights. It wasn't all black like the original. They had gray highlights on him. They added a different paint deco on there. And it looks really cool. There's so much artwork and stuff on the figure itself with these different secondaries and stuff like that. There's artwork and different stuff on these different armbands. There's a lot of detail on the legs, the side of the leg there, the back of the leg, the holster, his belt. All his holsters have really cool ornate details and stuff like that. This was a knock out of the park to start this brand off. I think they had to make this first Snake Eyes like the best Snake Eyes ever. And it is really good. There's also some cool like stuff on his feet, different artwork on his feet. Can't really get a good look at that artwork on the feet, but it's different like feet articulation and stuff like that. And he looks really badass, I've got to say. I think everything about this figure, the packaging, the figure itself, the details that they put into this, the homages with the Snake Eyes artwork, the timber on it, and the Arashikage symbol all over this, the beautiful ornate like I guess you would call it like layover, like the The silver layover of this is beautiful. And I think they really, really wanted this to be a successful line. And I think from the get-go, it was. I really do. I believe this came back for a second run, but the initial run did sell out, and they had to go back. And so I was able to thankfully get this on the first time around, and I was able to get two of them. I'm putting all these little weapons back in the styrofoam and stuff like that. So eventually, when I make a display, I will put all these things on in the display. But at the moment, I'm just going to put them back in here because I do not want to lose all this stuff. I am bad about that sort of stuff. So eventually, I'm going to pack all these away. I'm going to open these packages up, and I'm going to put them all in a storage bin, and they will be all taken care of that way. And so, and then they will be all protected and stuff like that. So they will be all where they need to be, so they don't get damaged. So this is the first time that I'm doing this with all these figures. It was getting to a point where I was getting multiples of these, of every single one of these. So I'm going to have a in package set and an out of package set when all these videos are done. And it may never be done because they're going to keep coming out with new G.I. Joe classified figures for quite some time. And so I may never be done with this. And that's the cool thing about this brand is it keeps growing, it keeps continuing, all the different generations. I've been very lucky that I've been there for A Real American Hero 1982 till now. I've had some ebbs and flows where I've been super into it and getting everything. And then I've had some where I've dabbled. So I have a little of every single thing. And I'm trying to complete all those runs now. But from 1982 till now, I have something from every single series. There are areas where I have a lot. There are areas where I have a little. But I do have something from 82 till now of every single version of G.I. Joe that has been released. And at some point when I'm showing different variations of figures, I may show you stuff from, say, Valor vs. Venom, or Joe vs. Cobra, or Sigma 6, or the 40th anniversary, the 50th anniversary, the movies, Retaliation, 25th anniversary, vintage again, in different eras of the vintage, from the early 80s, mid 80s, 90s, and maybe if we ever get a Sergeant Savage, I could show you some Sergeant Savage or some extreme characters. I don't know if we'll ever get those, but that would be cool. I would love that. So like I said, I have a little bit of every single Joe line from 82 till now. And some of it I have quite a bit. So I will always be showing you different versions of figures to go along with the classified version of that figure, to show you the lineage and the history. And I feel that that is the best way for me to present these characters, these toys, these action figures, these collectibles, G.I. Joe, in the best light, and not just do a review of a modern classified figure. And so I want to thank Dan Klingensmith for creating G.I. Joe Real American Hero series. And he's going to be very heavily presented during these videos. And the same thing with Carson Metaxas and his omnibus and the work that he's done for packaging, presenting and archiving and showcasing Hector Grito's work and lots of other artists. Forgive me if I don't know a lot of the other artists' names, but I'm very familiar with Hector Grito because I grew up with Hector Grito. And obviously, A Real American Hero, the first appearance of this version of Snake Eyes, Larry Hama, and this artwork, which was Mike Zeck, did the artwork on the cover. And Ron Rudat, Kurt Bazigin, and all the G.I. Joe brand team for the original G.I. Joe and bringing A Real American Hero back and starting my love of G.I. Joe. Maybe someday we'll get some 60th anniversary G.I. Joes. That's going to be interesting when we get to showcase some of those figures. Maybe we can showcase some of the history behind the 60th anniversary and now the legacy line. So there are other opportunities there too. So we'll see what happens with that. So I want to say thank you very much. For future videos, we're just going to keep going down the line, and number one will be next, and so on and so forth. I want to thank those of you who watch these videos, that are subscribed, like, share, so we can get this brand and the G.I. Joe New News Review to everybody. I will also be sharing this on Facebook. So I hope you like my new beginning bumper at the beginning. It was fun to create. I wanted to do it more in the vintage style of G.I. Joe with the flames and so on, because I really loved that, and that grabbed me when I was a kid. And so I wanted to show that inspiration here on my videos and my content. So I hope you like it. And I look forward to talking with everyone on the next video in future videos, because I'm sure we're going to get a lot of fun comments and behind the scenes. Maybe I can bring some different people on to discuss some of these figures. Maybe Sergeant Slaughter I can bring on to discuss his figures. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? Maybe Josh Blaylock can discuss the very first Kamakura figure, and maybe people can come on and talk about their favorite figures, and so on and so forth. So I really look forward to this series continuing, and I'm very excited, and I hope you are too. So thank you again, and we will talk to you next time. Yo, Joe!